Hey, good afternoon. This is Clay with Clay's AC and Auto Repair and Clay Motion here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. If this video is helpful, please like, share, and most of all, subscribe to my page. You can also like me on the Facebook if you want to send me a personal message. I get them much quicker through Clay's AC and Auto Repair here in Grand Rapids, Michigan. Remember, if anybody else can do it, you can do it. And we're going to show you what's up. We got a 2004 Nissan Xterra with, I believe, a 3.3, but it's a V6 model. I can't remember off the top of my head. And we put a new oil pan in it because we had some rust in this one and it was leaking a little bit. Pretty straightforward. You're going to need basic, up to 19 millimeter sockets and wrenches. I'm going to point out some of the problems that we ran into. This 21 millimeters, if I remember right, to undo the lug nuts. That's the biggest one you're going to need. The rest of it's pretty simple. So here's what we got. We took out the idler arm on this side. We don't want to remove any of these parts because you generally end up damaging them. If you watch another one of my videos, if you're going to remove them, I'll show you how to remove them without having a pickle fork or anything. So look for that, how to remove a tie rod end. It's in my video stuff. With just a hammer and not damaging it. The next thing that you're going to do is we're going to obviously, we drop down the front differential. Now, just a couple notable things, and that's mostly what this video is about, not showing you how to do it, just notes and how to do things. You're going to take out these 4 bolts, and these 4 bolts sit up in the carriage up inside there. There's going to be welds on the bottom here. You're just going to grind off them 4 welds. There's 2 on each side, and when you're looking at yours, you'll see that they're welded there. So you're going to drop that down. Now, we didn't take out the rear transfer case to the front differential drive shaft, and the reason we didn't do that is because we didn't need to. More than likely in your garage, in your driveway, you're going to want to take this out. You're going to unhook a couple hoses and stuff, take off your normal bracketing bolts. Notice how we left this bracket and this bracket on right here. Not a big deal because you can slide that whole thing out of there. Now, we also had the rear mounts. Took all the bolts out of that. Pretty simple, straightforward, not very much to that. The problems that we ran into were all these 12 millimeter bolts, and there's 6 of them. On ours, we're in a northern climate, so what happens is these get all rusty. So what we had to do was we took one 12 millimeter wrench, put the box inside on it, wedge it against the frame to loosen up the other one. And you'll do that, and you'll have to figure out a little system. Now, ours were rusty, so we put the 12 millimeters on there, and they a little bit difficult to get on. And you kind of maneuver this from doing it up here. You'll do a couple down here. You might come back to the back and do these. Okay, so that pretty much covers some of the troubles we had. The other trouble that we had was when we took the oil pan out. So when you go to take the oil pan out, you're gonna rub up against, I think you can see it right there, the oil filter housing and then the transmission lines. But mostly this oil pan, when it comes out, is gonna come out somewhat flat. So you're gonna have it on a horizontal plane and you're gonna just tilt it sideways and stuff. You might do a little bit of movement, but you gotta pretty much put it in there flat and put it back up in there somewhat flat. And the reason being is you're gonna catch on this lip. There's a spacer between the engine and transmission that tends to get in the way. But that spacer is gonna have to stay there. There's actually 2 spacers that come out. One's for the starter shim and then one's for the engine to transmission shim. But you're gonna pull the starter shim spacer out, and you should be able to get this out once you pull out all the bolts out of your transfer case. Now, the biggest reason for making this video is this is the starter shim right here, is one particular bolt on this oil pan. This was crazy. This bolt right here that goes in here. So it's behind, and your shim plate is right here, and you can't get a ratchet in there or anything. And if you do, when you do get a ratchet on there, because eventually you're gonna have to come in at this angle depending on the head style of your ratchet. You're gonna need a flatter style ratchet like me. Oh, Jeff's trying to drop the transfer case off. You'll be okay. Fix that all up. All right, so now we're going to talk about that. Talk about the series of tools that I use that Jeff has moved and is using or something. I don't know. You're going to use, when I started this bolt, one thing I did was I took a rag and I stuffed it up inside the back of this plate. And the reason I did that is because I wanted that if that bolt fell out, I wanted to glance off and go this way and not go down inside the transmission into between the flywheel, because that's going to be a big problem. But I got the bolt up in there, and because you use Permatex to do this, it kind of got a little bit sticky. I couldn't turn it with my finger, so I took my 10 millimeter gear wrench and I got it wedged like this. I couldn't get it on there because the head was too big, but I could get it wedged, and then I could put my finger underneath there and turn it in. And then I just was able to get the regular ratchet and a socket, and coming from this angle I couldn't move very much because it'll bend the bolt and take it out of square. So I just moved it a little bit, got it up in there. This was the worst part of this job right here. Normally, probably I wouldn't. I remember a time when I wouldn't have put that bolt in there, but
yeah, last week.
Jeff thinks he's a freaking comedian up in here. But anyways, hopefully that's helpful. Please like, share, most of all, subscribe. You can reach me on Facebook. God bless. Remember, if any other person can do it, you can do it too. And this is good information. Thanks.